She had it all: youth, beauty, and a life wrapped in diamonds and desert gold. Leila Hassan was the 27-year-old wife of Dubai's real estate kingpin, a man 4 decades her senior who built an empire from sand. To the world, she was a living fairy tale, gliding through marble halls, dressed in couture, sipping champagne in private jets. But behind the tall, mirrored gates of their mansion, something was unraveling. Because what no one knew, not the press, not the friends she no longer saw, not even the staff who turned their eyes away, was that Leila had fallen for someone she was never meant to touch. Someone who shared the same last name, a forbidden affair, a billion-dollar betrayal, and a double homicide that stunned one of the wealthiest families in the Middle East. This isn't just the story of a scandal. It's the slow, deadly unraveling of trust, temptation, and one woman's decision that changed everything. While Leila was learning to play shared glances during family dinners, lingering goodbyes in the marble corridors. They were drawn to each other, not just because of age or boredom, but because they understood the same thing. Neither of them truly belonged in Fizzle's world. And when the house staff started whispering that Omar was visiting the library more often, and that Leila always seemed to be there too, no one dared say a word. But everyone noticed. Something was beginning to simmer beneath the silence. What began as glances and whispers quickly turned into something far more dangerous. Leila and Omar couldn't stay away from each other. By now, they weren't just playing with fire, they were soaking in gasoline. Late-night meetings in hidden rooms. Silent touches behind closed doors. It wasn't love, it was obsession. For Leila, Omar was everything Fizzle wasn't: young, passionate, and alive. For Omar, Leila was off-limits, a forbidden fantasy that gave him a taste of power he'd never had. But it couldn't last. In a household watched by bodyguards, servants, and silent surveillance, secrets don't stay hidden forever. Fizzle had built an empire by knowing everything before anyone else. It was only a matter of time before he began to suspect something was off. When Fizzle started asking questions, Leila panicked. She begged Omar to leave, to end it before it all fell apart. But Omar had a different idea. He wasn't just in love. He was starting to believe he deserved more. More than being a shadow behind his father's fortune. More than being second to a man who ruled over everything, including Leila. And that's when the lies started turning into plans. Fizzle Al-Najjar didn't become a billionaire by being blind. He could read silence like a language, and lately, there was too much of it around Leila and Omar. Conversations paused when he entered a room. His staff avoided eye contact, and Leila, once so warm, so devoted, now looked through him like he was glass. At first, he dismissed it as paranoia. After all, Leila had everything. Why would she betray him? But Fizzle was a man who trusted no one. Not in business, not in love. He quietly ordered his head of security to begin surveillance. Not cameras, he already had those. He wanted shadows, people. He wanted eyes and ears everywhere. What they found sent chills. Hours of overlapping schedules and parts of attention where no one was supposed to be. Secret conversations in hushed tones. Glimpses of Omar leaving Leila's private wing after midnight. No photos, no recordings, just whispers, hints, and enough smoke to suggest a fire he could no longer ignore. And the moment Fizzle realized his wife and only son might be conspiring behind his back, whether for love or something worse, everything changed. He didn't confront them. Not yet. Because Fizzle wasn't just a husband or a father. He was a strategist. And in his world, betrayal didn't end in arguments. It ended in silence. Fizzle never yelled. He never threatened. When he felt betrayed, he didn't raise his voice. He vanished behind plans. That's when Leila noticed the subtle changes. Her phone calls no longer went through. Omar's credit cards were suddenly declined. The household staff stopped answering to her, like they were taking silent orders from someone else. Fizzle was tightening the noose without ever saying a word. Behind the scenes, he'd already frozen Omar's trust fund. Lawyers were rewriting wills, removing names, and rerouting assets. Private investigators were digging into every message, every meeting, every flight booked under false names. He wasn't just angry. He was preparing to erase them both. Quietly, legally, completely. Leila tried to speak to him, but he gave her nothing. Just a blank stare and the kind of silence that felt more dangerous than a loaded weapon. As for Omar, he could feel the walls closing in. He wasn't stupid. He knew his father was onto them. But what he didn't expect, what neither of them did, was that Fizzle wasn't planning to confront them at all. He was planning to disappear someone. It happened on a stormy night, one of those rare Dubai evenings when the sky cracked open with thunder and wind swept through the desert like a warning. The mansion was unusually quiet. Leila hadn't seen Omar all day. Fizzle, as always, was unreadable, but the air felt charged, like something was about to snap. And then, he vanished. Omar was gone. No note, no box. His car is still in the garage. Security cameras? Wiped clean between 1 o'clock and 3 a.m. The only footage that remained showed Omar entering the East Wing and never coming out. Within hours, rumors spread like wildfire. Some said Omar fled the country with Leila's help, escaping the wrath of a father betrayed. Others whispered he had been taken care of, a quiet cleanup to protect a billion-dollar reputation. And then, darker theories emerged. That Fizzle had done the unthinkable. That this wasn't a disappearance. It was an execution. But here's the twist. There was no body. No police report. No public statement. Just silence. And in the world of the ultra-rich, silence often speaks the loudest. Leila's face, once always in the press, vanished from every event. Fizzle moved half his empire offshore. And people began to wonder, not just what happened to Omar, but who might be next. For weeks, the media said nothing. No missing person report. No family statement. Just polished smiles and old photographs and silence from the Al-Najjar estate. But lies, especially big ones, don't stay buried forever. It started with a leak. An anonymous post on a dark web forum claimed Omar had been buried somewhere on the estate under the guise of a landscaping renovation. Most brushed it off as conspiracy junk, until satellite imagery showed fresh soil movement around the East Garden. A week later, an ex-staff member came forward, saying they were paid hush money to stay silent about a loud argument and a broken object that looked like a sculpture, but wasn't. That was the crack that shattered everything. Reporters swarmed the gates. Authorities, pressured by growing online outrage, were forced to investigate. Drones circled overhead. Search warrants were drafted. And while no body was found, something else was. A burner phone, hidden in a vent, filled with voice recordings. Conversations between Leila and Omar, some flirty, some fearful. One, in particular, ended with the chilling line. If he finds out we're both dead. The story was no longer just a rumor. It was unraveling in real time. And Fizzle? He hadn't been seen in public in weeks. No travel logs. No office appearances. Just silence. But now, that silence was screaming. When Fizzle al-Najjar finally reappeared, it wasn't at a press conference or charity gala. It was in handcuffs under the harsh lights of Dubai courtroom, facing a storm the family could no longer control. The charges? Obstruction, evidence tampering, unlawful surveillance. But everyone knew what the trial was really about. What happened to Omar al-Najjar? Leila was brought in under protective custody. Her testimony shocked the courtroom. Tearfully, she described Fizzle's slow, calculated unraveling, the freezing of assets, the silent threats, the moment she and Omar decided. But she also admitted something no one saw coming. They never made it out together. Omar vanished before she could escape. She believed Fizzle had done it, but she never saw it happen. The court couldn't convict on belief. Without a body, the murder charge didn't stick. But the rest? It was enough. Fizzle's empire shattered overnight. Stockholders fled. Partners dissolved contracts. Half a dozen hidden shell companies were exposed. A judge called it the most sophisticated campaign of silent vengeance ever uncovered in the Gulf. The sentence, 20 years in a high-security facility stripped of all titles and corporate holdings. But that wasn't the true punishment. The al-Najjar name, once the gold standard of luxury, became a cautionary tale. A legacy built on silence, undone by obsession. And Omar? His fate remains the greatest mystery of them all. Some say he's still alive, hidden, protected, waiting. Others believe the mansion holds secrets that may never be found. But one thing's certain, the truth didn't die. It just got buried, asterisk, asterisk.